Women for the world. She draws crowds or fire. An oak, she towers. She forewarns, she floors, she sieves, she's oars, all whirl and brimming, living for the world. She's 13, first in her family to say AIDS out loud. She's mopping nuclear meltdown at 69. She sunscreens orphaned elephants' ears, knows mother is shade. Thick-armed or reedy, she splits atoms, invents windshield wipers, whiteout. She labors in the bush, the hut, the tub, the ward. She delivers exponentially. She sisters. She gives us hospice, Kevlar, the Mars rover, the bra. Carriers of water, keepers of memories or bees. At 10, circumcised, about to be wed, she spills hot tea in his lap, grows up to write her memoir from jail with eyeliner on TP. She will not be forbidden the world. Game changers, gene mappers, those who build bridges, who are bridges, who get the story told. Sharp or honey tongue, she legals, loyals, triages, stops the superhighway. She sings herself and everyone, flecked with paint or pain, knee-deep in the way out or in, she drives. We, women, elected, reflecting, dissecting, refracting, ignition for the world. Thank you.
Andrea, I think you need more applause. Thank you. That was gorgeous, and that was Andrea Hairston, class of 1974 and professor of theater at Smith. Yes, one of our own. This is one of those many moments when you go, you just knew she went to Smith. But thank you for that wonderful reading by Ellen Watson, who's director of the Smith Poetry Center. Tonight, we will hear much about Women for the World and Sophia Smith's continued legacy of preparing women leaders. For those of you whom I have not met, I am Shelley Lazarus, class of 1968, and there are, yes, 68, and there are 6 or 7 or 8 of my classmates back there. We're doing well at this event tonight. But I have the pleasure and honor of serving along with President Emerita Jill Kerr Conway as honorary chair of Smith's very, very soon to be launched campaign. There was a great moment when Carol asked Jill and me to be the co-chairs, and Carol was talking all about what needed to be done for Smith and how exciting this was, and Jill and I are both sort of listening quietly and respectfully, and finally, thank goodness, Jill said to Carol, "Is there anything we actually have to do?" Because I wouldn't have been brave enough to ask it, but I was thinking it, so But I know that you have had the chance over the last couple of days, because I've heard everyone talking animatedly about how remarkable the last few days have been. But we've all been reminded about the value of a Smith education and the critical role Smith has in preparing leaders for the world. You know, in a real sense, Smith is actually a movement of which we are all part, and I hope you felt this, I know you felt this, as you've returned to Northampton over these past few days. As for me, I try to never, ever forget, not for one single day, that I would not be who I am or where I am had I not gone to Smith College. Yeah. And that is true for me, and I know so many in this room feel that way. The journey started here for each of us, and the gratitude should be never ending. We must give back. We should give back. As a friend of mine from Tennessee always likes to say, never forget who brung you to the dance. You always got to dance with who brung you. I believe Smith brought us all to this dance. Now, over the course of this evening, we have several surprises and special announcements, as well as good food and wine to share. So let me begin the evening with a brief toast to women around the world and to Smith women in particular. May we continue to make a difference in the world. May we continue to lead the world for ages to come. To Smith. I'm just waiting to hear when the clicking is done. Oh, here's my glass. Okay, I've got one now too, right. Now I invite you to enjoy your salads and each other's company. And then President Carol Chris will come to the stage with a special announcement, an exciting announcement, which is especially relevant to those of you who were here during Jill's days as president of Smith. I will leave you in suspense with that, and we'll be back. Cheers.
Good evening. It's with deep admiration that I pay tribute tonight to two remarkable Smith women on whose shoulders we stand. First, Jill Conway. President of Smith from 1975 to 85, who along with Shelley Lazarus serves as honorary co-chair of the Women for the World campaign that we will officially launch moments from now. We're delighted you're with us here tonight, Jill, and look forward to hearing much more of your wisdom tomorrow after brunch, right here. The second woman is Joan Fletcher Lane, class of 1949, and former chair of the Smith Board during part of Jill's career. Joan regrets that she cannot be with us here in Northampton this evening, though we know she's very much with us in spirit, and we trust might be watching us right now via live stream. If so, Joan, I thank you yet again for your extraordinary gift to honor our dear friend, a true woman for the world, Jill Conway. When Joan and I first started talking about a significant gift to the campaign, she was clear from the outset that whatever she did, she wanted to honor Jill and her remarkable impact on Smith and the world. Ultimately, Joan decided to establish a $2 million trust that will create a financial aid endowment in Jill's name for deserving international students from developing countries. This is a wonderful gift in and of itself, but Joan did not stop there. Instead, she thought strategically about her gift might be used to encourage philanthropy in others, especially those graduates who benefited the most from Jill's tenure and leadership. As a result, I'm delighted to announce the immediate start of the Conway Challenge, in which Joan asks all graduates who were here as students during Jill's tenure, as well as all Ada Comstock scholars, a program near and dear to Jill's heart, to make a Smith Fund gift or commitment for financial aid by January 13th, 2013. If we're able to raise $1 million for this purpose by the end of January, we'll secure Joan Lane's $2 million gift for endowment. Both Joan and Jill are thrilled with this exciting opportunity and confident that many of Jill's alumni, many of whom are here in this room, will step forward to help meet this challenge. One such alumna here to accept the challenge on behalf of the alumni constituency is Judy Campagnari, class of 1985 and chair of the Classes Committee of the Alumni Association of Smith College.
So when they told me I had to be in front of Jill, I figure I should bring my cashmere and pearls. Proudly wearing them. Several years ago, I was spending the Sunday afternoon with the New York Times Magazine, and I was drawn to an article about someone that the Times described as a leader and a trailblazer. The article, I was similarly drawn to a quote, and I'm gonna paraphrase because I didn't keep the article stupidly. But to paraphrase, the comment was, confident that I have something to contribute. I am neither hesitant nor ashamed to admit when I need to be advised or educated. These words were Jill Conway's. Anybody who knows me knows that for me, this was a pivotal moment. Oprah Winfrey talks about it in AHA. This was my AHA moment. I live by these words. And I realized that this is the gift that Jill gave to me, and I would submit to every Smithie that was on campus while she was here. A gift of confidence, self-effacing, elegance, and self-awareness. In Jill's quiet, deliberate, and elegant way, she's been a trailblazer, not only as the first female president of our alma mater, but also as a requested corporate board of directors member, faculty at many elite universities and colleges, and as an author. She has inspired us, encouraged us, and provided a legacy that we all can aspire to. So I celebrate Joan's gift. I accept it on behalf of all of Jill's Smithies from the great classes of 1976 to 1988, and all of the Ada Comstocks. We accept this challenge to raise $1 million by January 31st, 2013, and when we are successful, Joan is going to match that. And so we will be we will accept the challenge and we will meet it. I'm also pleased to announce that right now, as of today, early contributions to the Jill Kerr Conway Challenge total over $100,000, and that includes a gift from our own Dr. Carol Christ. So keep your eyes open. Please pay attention to the website, pay attention to your snail mail. There's going to be a lot of information on the web and in print. Join me. I am still thinking about my pledge. I will be making a pledge. I am accepting this challenge personally. Please join me in accepting this challenge. I want to thank Joan for the challenge. We are up to this challenge, are we not? All right. And I personally, and as a diehard, proud Jill Smithie, thank Jill for the inspiration.
Well, friends, of course you can understand what a splendid moment this is for me. Splendid in a great variety of ways. First, because this remarkable gift comes from my old and dear friend, Joan Fletcher Lane. And let me explain to you how much that means. Joan taught me how to raise money. When I first arrived at Smith, she worked in the development office at Stanford. And if anybody knows about that development office, it's a powerhouse of fundraising. And she helped me in the early days of the first campaign we had at Smith in my time. I used at that time go out to visit my family in Australia, and Joan would always meet my plane, whether it came in to San Francisco or to Los Angeles, and she would have 3 days of travel while I went to make calls. And on the way, she would coach me about each person, about each opportunity, and in my very early years as president, I learned from her. So not only is she giving me a great gift to rejoice in, she's also continuing the whole process of finding ways to make more money for Smith. I think it's a great gift that anybody who has real experience in this area to pass it on to a younger person who still has to learn how to do it. And I'm very grateful to her for inspiring me in believing that I could actually meet all those goals that we set, which were very important to the college in that decade. So if Joan's here and looking, thank you, Joan. What a wonderful gift. Secondly, it's true that there's a very special bond between me and the classes who were students here in my day and the Adas. And so it's a very happy moment for me to think of us all working together to meet this challenge. And I look forward to seeing and working with many, many wonderful friends from that period. And finally, a big thank you to Carol and all the people who have worked to bring this event to this moment tonight. I'm deeply grateful. I'm moved beyond any capacity for words at the moment, but I'll find a way to write about it. And thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Judy. And thank you, everyone who responds to this challenge to ensure that women from the world can continue to benefit from a big part of Jill's and Joan's own legacies, namely a Smith education. Now I invite you to enjoy your desserts in anticipation of more exciting announcements soon. Thank you.
The pumpkin cheesecake is fantastic. You can keep eating it yes, it's really good. You can keep eating it as we continue along, but there is so much more to tell you. There are so many more surprises. We have to get started. We can hardly stand it anymore. But to start, I have the honor of introducing my friend Betty Eviard, who's the class of 1969, and is the new chair of the Smith Board as of July 1st. And I'd say, Betty, knowing how important momentum is, you got it. So go with it. It's just, this is hard to believe, and it was hard for me to believe when I was told this. But according to Ruth Simmons, I was the first chair of the Smith Board who had a full career outside the home, a full career in the business. I was the very first one. That, by the way, that's what. Don't applaud. It's what Ruth used to convince me to become the chair of the board. So she said, you have to do this. So, and I agreed, I had to. But since that time, we've had some real stars, the latest being Betty. Betty spent 31 years in investment banking, retiring as managing director and head of Payne Weber's Retail Industry Group. And for those of us who know, if you're still standing after 31 years in investment banking, I promise you that Betty is ready for anything. This'll be easy. Oh, this'll be easy. But Betty's been a superb trustee for the last 10 years, a most loyal daughter of Smith. We are all very lucky to have Betty Eviard as our current chair. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Betty Eviard.
Thank you, Shelley. It is truly humbling to follow in your board chair footsteps and the footsteps of two other chairs who are here tonight. Neely Mendenhall Small of the class of 1966. Neely, stand up. And Phoebe Reese Lewis, class of 1951. Hey. And as Carol shared, Joan Fletcher Lane, class of 49, is with us in spirit and perhaps virtually. So I hope so too. She's here. Give a round for her as well. When I accepted this tremendous responsibility and privilege of serving as Smith's board chair, I did so with the full knowledge and the great excitement for launching Smith's Women for the World campaign. I was an early supporter of the campaign's priorities: financial aid for women around the world, combined with innovative academic programming and initiatives that encourage faculty, students, and the greater Smith community to really reimagine education and liberal arts for the 21st century. Such creative thinking led to, for example, the Global Engagement Seminars, which I was pleased to support right from the beginning, before they even started. And I was soon joined by so many who saw this campaign as a great way to invest in Smith. And when I use the term invest, I use it because truly a gift to Smith is an investment in the life of a young woman, and a woman who will go out and change the world, and change the world for the better. And I can't think of a better investment to make than to make life better for all of us. I am so proud to say that over 14,000 alumni, parents, and friends, including 100% of the Board of Trustees and 100% of the Alumni Association Board, have made commitments during the early and the leadership phases of this campaign. The campaign began in 2009, the quiet phase, and today, these commitments total over $200 million. Okay? That is 45% of the $450 million goal that the board approved in May of 2012. With every gift to Smith, you ensure the ultimate success of the institution, and that represents a strong vote of confidence in Smith's future. And we are truly grateful to those people and organizations who have made special commitments above and beyond the ordinary to Smith. We will see a list of people who have made commitments of over $1 million or more. And these gifts account for 62% of the $200 million that we have raised to date. And I would like to read the names of those who are here tonight who have made such gifts. And so as I read their names, I would ask them or their representatives to stand and remain standing for our recognition at the end of the list. Please hold your applause. Peggy Block Danziger, Betty, applaud. Betty Horner, represented by Virginia Hasten. Janet Wright Ketchum, Shelley Braff Lazarus and George Lazarus, Phoebe Reese Lewis and John D. Lewis, Janet Clark McKinley, Janice Carlson Orsman, Nancy Godfrey Schacht and Henry B. Schacht, Cornelia Mendenhall Small and Jonathan Small, Anita Volz Ween and Byron Ween, and the S.D. Bechtel Jr. Foundation, represented by our trustee, Debbie Duncan. I'd just like to say that when Andrea read that wonderful poem, I don't know if you caught the last line, ignition for the world. Women for the world are ignition for the world. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Betty, for your leadership and for the wonderful news of our success to date in recognition of our most generous donors. However, there are a few donors that have been left off the list. First of all, Jill Kerr-Conway. And secondly, you and your husband, Jean-Marie. As one of our earliest and most ardent supporters, you and Jean-Marie were a critical catalyst in getting the campaign started with momentum. Thank you. At the beginning of the evening, Andrea Hairston, class of 1974 and professor of theater here at Smith, read a moving poem about women for the world. The poem was written by our own Ellen Watson for this occasion, director of the Poetry Center at Smith. As is our practice with particularly illustrious occasions at the Poetry Center, Barry Moser, the Irwin and Pauline Alper Glass Professor of Art, created a broadside with a beautiful woodcut illustration. Though Ellen regrets she can't be with us this evening, Barry is here. Barry, will you please stand for our appreciation? Now, it's my pleasure to present the first of this limited edition broadside to Betty. Mary Maples Dunn presents one to Shelley. And all of our donors of $1 million or more will receive one of these broadsides in recognition of their generosity. Thank you all.
Thank you, Carol, for this very meaningful recognition. And I want to tell you personally that your leadership over the past years has brought Smith to where it is today and created the success that it has allowed us to announce and launch our campaign tonight. And I wanted to thank you also for your own generosity. You were an early investor in this campaign with a very generous commitment for our highest priority, which is financial aid. And thanks to your donation, along with the gifts of many others, we have already raised more than $50 million of the financial aid goal, and our total goal is $200 within the full campaign. So that will ensure that we can continue to educate women of promise for lives of distinction from any background. In addition to financial aid, the Smith Fund is a key priority of our campaign. It represents 20% of our overall goal. The Smith Fund accounts for between 5 and 8% of Smith's operating budget annually, and it is imperative that we continue our support for it each year, year in and year out. The remaining $160 million of the campaign is targeted at a variety of academic and co-curricular initiatives that help us to reimagine the liberal arts education for the 21st century. When you leave this evening, you will receive a prospectus that further details the elements of the campaign and articulates the case for support and Smith's commitment to and responsibility for educating women of the world. So it is a delight and an honor for me to declare Women of the World, the campaign for Smith, officially launched. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. And now I call on Mary Maples Dunn to deliver a toast to the campaign.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be at Smith and to help celebrate our beloved college and to offer it our wishes for the greatest of success in this grand new adventure. And looking out at this huge room full of loyal Smithies, I know that it's going to work. But it must be said that this step into a global adventure is building on a past in which Smith has always been active. First, Smith was very attentive to the need for Smith students to undertake an international dimension in their educations. Thousands of Smith women have come to know and appreciate other cultures in our study abroad program, now nearly a century old and one of the first to get itself underway. And in this way, through study abroad, Smith women have created for themselves larger communities of understanding. And Smith has also concerned itself with the education of women from other parts of the world. We were, for many years, the principal supporting sponsor of Jinling College in Nanking, as it was then called, China. And we early on began to attract students from abroad, although that movement intensified after World War II. And more students from Asia came to Smith under the leadership of Jill Conway, who partnered with Liz Kennan from Mount Holyoke in moving our colleges to think beyond the Pacific horizon. Our first Black African student came in the 1960s. That was Ngendo Mwangi, who went on to medical school in the United States and then returned to Kenya to develop a traveling practice in rural Kenya, helped, in fact, by Jill, who helped her get a Land Rover, which became her portable clinic. By the year 2000, we had educated women from 103 countries. That's more than half of the independent nations recognized by the Department of State. – 1 2 3  4 5  6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 158 159 160 So these women, the Americans who have studied abroad and the international students who have studied at Smith, constitute a powerful global network which we can call on to help us make women's leadership more important throughout the world. Now, the more complex and focused effort which is being undertaken now goes deeper than the kind of international understanding that we have fostered in the past. For one thing, the inequities suffered by women worldwide are vividly apparent now in a world of rapid communication, and those women need the help of other women, and we hope that our graduates will be there to offer that help. And we are now in a confusing moment in this world in which national identities are in extraordinary tension with global interdependence, an unparalleled situation in this world. This is a world that needs the leadership of women and the resources to prepare them for that mission. And this is what Smith now undertakes. So, go Smith and go Smithies!
Good evening. Lichona njani mahlabe Zulu. A very good evening to you all. I am Faith Kumalo, class of 2015, and I am an international student from Zimbabwe. I have been at Smith for just over a year now, though it already feels like home. I was born to a 17-year-old mother and a father I never met. Immediately after my birth, my mother had to go back to school, so my grandmother raised me with the little that she had. When I was about 3, my grandmother moved to South Africa in search of better opportunities. I was left in the hands of relatives while my mother continued with her education and my grandmother sent money home. At age 12, I lost my mother to pneumonia only 2 years after I'd moved in with her. And again, I had to live with relatives. One of my aunts took it upon herself to take care of me in a way that my mother would have and raised me as one of her own children. Unfortunately, I witnessed abusive episodes carried by her husband whenever he came home drunk, which was almost every night. I developed a deeply rooted resentment of him and wished there was something I could do to help my aunt. However, I could not come up with anything. I swore to myself that I would never allow any man to treat me or other women in such a way. Thus began my journey towards the empowerment of women. I understood that it would be hard for me to stand up for myself in a society strongly rooted in patriarchy. But I knew the right weapon: education. I decided to prepare myself in a way that would earn me the respect that every woman deserves. I made it through primary school with the best results, and though high school was a bit more challenging, I still managed to do well. I had already started my A-levels when I received notification that I had been selected to study the International Baccalaureate Diploma at a college in England. This was an opportunity of a lifetime, and I grabbed it with both hands. It was not easy leaving home at 17, but I knew that my dreams were bigger than my fears. Being among people from all over the world who had similar dreams to change that world was the most powerful force I'd ever experienced, until Smith. One of my guidance counselors kept telling me just how much of a Smithy I was, that if there was anywhere in the world I should be, it had to be Smith. At first, I did not welcome the idea of a women's college, but I eventually agreed to submit my application. As I began to read more about Smith, I fell in love with it, which is one of the reasons I am standing here today. However, it is not the only one. It is also because of each one of you that I am able to attend Smith and to pursue my dreams. Thank you very much. I am looking forward to the next 3 years that I know will be filled with memories that I will always treasure. Friendship, hard work, and beautiful, brilliant minds. Without all of you, I would never have imagined any of this, let alone be here. I want to tell you that what you are doing is changing lives. May you continue with the job well done. Kuyabongeka kakhulu. Thank you very much.
Admired. I'd like to thank the Glee Club for that wonderful rendition of Smith's songs, and thank all of you for coming tonight. It's really been a grand celebration, so thank you and good night.